Commissioner O'Rourke,
Present.
Commissioner Rexroth,
Present.
Chairman Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Ross, here, Commissioner Alguier, Commissioner Lautner.
Present.
All present.
Okay, the purpose of our meeting is for a public hearing on the 5-year community parks and recreation plan, and our administrator will kick us off.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to Tiffany Smith in a minute, but that's okay, if you have any real questions. You know, for the last several months, we've been going through the county's been going through the process through the leadership of the Parks and Rec Commission, as well as our consultant Tiffany Smith, the guide with the MCSA group. We have a draft that's been thoroughly reviewed by the Parks and Rec Commission. We have several of the members that are here. That at the meeting was in the November meeting, I mean, they really went through it and made some changes, and all the changes that they had got incorporated into the into here. For almost 30 days, this has been out for public review. In your packet for this, there were 3 comments that were made. You see them and you saw the results. What your task is here tonight is to open it up for more public input, and then you can just close the public hearing. Any further discussion that we will have, you'll have at your regular meeting at that point. So all you got to do is, unless somebody has a quick question for Tiffany, I would be even more damaged to try to answer from that point. So,
Well, Tiffany, thanks for being here. Would you come up to the table, so the microphone? Tiffany, our administrator is making fun of the clothing that one of our commissioners is wearing tonight.
I'm a little bit chagrined about this. I don't think it's appropriate.
Well, I'm sure it came
But-
from grandchildren.
It's from my wife.
Yeah.
So I have to wear it.
Thank you for being here.
I'm really here to answer questions, but just a brief synopsis of what your recreation plan is. I did an inventory of all your facilities and identified the ADA needs at all of them, and went in front of the board and talked to all the committee members to decide what improvements should happen in the next 5 years and make that align with your current budget. What parts that can get grants, and that's another. And the reason that DNR, the state of Michigan, makes you have one of these every 5 years, if you've read online for the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, you have to have this on file in order to apply. So it's really a roadmap for the Park and Recreation Board and the community on how you're going to spend your money. We had 143 community surveys. We did not have a huge amount of public input during our one in-person meeting, but I always say if not a lot of people show up, they're satisfied. So, if there are any questions, have you all looked at the plan? It's long.
Yeah.
I try to add pictures so it's not as boring.
Did we get
Yeah,
the?
we cannot talk, it's really the public hearing. But the two members of the Parks and Recreation Commission could offer any other information to support Tiffany's, if you'd like to do that. But we'll hold off our questions until after the public hearing.
I guess the only thing I would offer as a Parks and Recreation Board chair, it is sort of a roadmap, but it is suggestion, and it's based on what we can financially afford to do and what grants we might receive. So in a lot of ways, it's perhaps a wish list.
It is.
So at this time, we would take any public comment from anybody. If you have a comment, please come forward and speak at the microphone.
Thank you.
30 seconds.
We've got one over there.
Yes, Rob? Thank you. Yeah, please.
I'm Peter Strowski. I'm the chair of the Suttons Bay Township Parks and Rec Committee. And I made a comment in my surveys that so much of the budget is aimed at the parks that are in the west side of the county. I don't know all the figures, but probably 80–90% of your budget goes to the west side. And I think, there's we should have more on our side of the lakes, if you would, that, and especially in active parks, if you could support those, help us out. And I think that would be fair to all the taxpayers that are on the east side.
Thank you.
And I got just some quick little notes too.
Okay, please bring forward.
Hand it to us. We'll get it in
Just
here.
updates on some of our facilities.
Thank you. We'll make sure they get distributed.
Good evening. My name is Rob Carner. I'm the watershed biologist for the Glen Lake Association. And we understand that Old Settlers Picnic area is a county park. And it borders the shoreline. It represents about 900 feet of shoreline. One of the things that we embrace in our attempts to try to contain water quality to the highest level is to make sure that the water edge is preserved with a natural green belt. Some people call it the green belt or buffer. Currently, the Old Settlers Picnic Ground has a very nice buffer. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's the trees, it's the shrubs, it's the natural vegetation that goes from basically the asphalt drive down to the water's edge. We hope that in the planning and the long-term road mapping that's happening for Old Settlers Picnic Ground is that if there's ever a chance to preserve any and all of what's there now, we would appreciate that in the planning process and in the execution of the plan. We think that that helps preserve the water quality. It has a function largely with the phosphorus that can travel from the uplands to the water. And just to kind of underscore that importance, 1 pound of phosphorus can grow 50 pounds of algae. And so we don't want the algal growth in that area of the shoreline to be impacted by taking away that buffer, taking away the filtering. And so we hope that that planning process will include all the preservation possibilities for keeping that shoreline in its natural state. We're certainly pleased to know that the laboratories or the outhouses, the vaulted, whatever you call them, will be transferred into something more modern, and that's certainly helpful. And then as far as the gazebo that's there now, it certainly is in need of repair. And so we think that's certainly in keeping with the park's improvement process. One thing I would caution is that if you go upland from the greenbelt, we would like to not see a lawnscape that goes underneath the trees where it has to be mowed, fertilized, and so on, irrigated. We don't want that to be the case because that can, once again, cause some nutrient loading and runoff, especially during storms. So I'm happy to answer any of your questions, and if not, I'm pleased to be able to come to you and speak on behalf of the Glen Lake Association.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Any other public comment about the Parks and Recreation Plan? Yes, Alan.
I'm Alan Campbell. I had given you some written comment, and
We have that.
if you have questions on that, I know we have an expert much more than myself, but I was just looking through the trust fund grants that were released, I believe over the weekend or Monday, and there were a lot of similar smaller projects, and I noticed a couple had to do with actually park improvements, as in they took a park, they feedback a couple different projects together, they got approved as one grant. So that's why, one of the reasons I think that it would be wise to include both the walkway and the pavilion in one application. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Any other public comment? Tiffany, any concluding comments? Okay, commissioners will be able to talk about it during our meeting, This time we'll close our public hearing and ask for adjournment.
Okay?
So move.
And don't anybody leave too quickly.